Hey guys, welcome back once again. It's Joe Fink with Hand Drawn Records and Hand Drawn Pressing in Addison, Texas, and we're coming to you live on the inner tubes, trying to just do something cool, man, and trying to find a way to feed all this creative, nervous energy that we have. And we've kind of created our own little world online, and that's trying to educate people on the process of making vinyl in the United States, and it's been really cool so far. We've talked to everybody from guys that work here in the plant with me to people that are across the country in different parts of the vinyl manufacturing industry. And today is another guest that we have online, and his name is Mark Calabro, and he's with 16 kilohertz. Mark, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, dude, tell us what is 16 kilohertz?
So 16 kilohertz is a small record pressing plant in Oakland, California, and we strictly make 7-inch picture records.
See, dude, picture discs are like a huge thing, man. I remember back in the day having a couple of them. I have one that I've had for a really long time, and it's a Judas Priest picture disc, man. Screaming for Vengeance. Yeah. And then I
Absolutely.
also have the Pulp Fiction soundtrack on picture disc, man. And both of those are 12-inch, though, right? And you guys do 7-inch. What's making your picture discs different other than the fact they're just 7-inch?
So there's actually quite a few things that we're doing differently than the way picture discs are traditionally made. Typically with a picture disc, what you have is a normal record puck similar to press that you guys have there in Texas. You would have a standard puck, and then you have two pieces of print that are then die cut. And then you have 2 layers of Mylar. So you have this Mylar print puck, print Mylar sandwich. And so you have 5 layers of things that all go into the press and melt together, and you have a picture record that comes out. What we've done is we've kind of stripped that process down, and we've made ours 3 layers. So you just have a piece of print in the center and then a heavy, thicker plastic on the outside of that print. So we're using a PVC as opposed to Mylar, so we're getting a little bit better sound quality, which picture records aren't necessarily known for sonic quality. I think ours are pretty good. Definitely a step up from what's been made in the past.
Right.
It's we're making them in an unusual way where we're instead of utilizing an extruder to take pellets and turn those into pucks, we're using a preformed substrate. So it's a PVC sheet that we use. So similar to almost like they used to make flexi records for the back of cereal boxes.
Yeah, I remember those.
Doing that in a different way, but it's similar to that where we're taking the material, it's prefabricated, and so we're essentially heat transferring the groove information into that material. So we're not actually melting anything. So the process is all electric. We don't have to operate with the use of a boiler or the use of a cooling tower or anything like that. It's all very low energy, which is, pretty beneficial, especially when you're in Oakland. And, it's really the only way that we can even exist here in the Bay Area is, being able to get by with a quarter of the amount of space that a normal pressing plant does. Our machine, you just plug it in, you're making records. And there's a bit of peripheral equipment for setup and trimming and cutting and stuff like that, but it's not huge, and it doesn't take up a lot of real estate. So it's a pretty interesting operation.
So that 7-inch market, though, that's got to be so much can be done with that, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first thing that came into mind with the picture disc for us was, obviously people do a lot of color stuff. There's a lot of requests for color records, and picture discs are kind of the ultimate color record in a lot of ways.
Right.
And with, the 7-inch format has just been my preferred format. I love 7-inch records. I think they just feel great in your hand. And 12 inches have always just kind of felt large,
right?
Like this big unwieldy thing that you set on the player. And, I love 12 inches, don't get me wrong, but 7 inches is just kind of like perfect compact record for me. And so that's why we kind of went that direction was, hey, let's do something in the 7-inch market. Cause, usually band's first record is a 7-inch record. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's the most collectible record that the band puts out too, usually.
Right.
It's their first record. They only make 300 to 500 of them, or maybe less. And then when the band later records stuff, those 7 inches really the initial fans that followed the band are the ones that have them. So there's a lot of things that we love about 7-inch records and the reason why we like making them. And, and a lot of the people that we do records for are local artists in Oakland and across the country.
So are you guys doing 7-inch at 33 or 45?
Both. Yeah. So it just depends. Yeah. It just depends on the overall playing time of the programming.
And so explain that to those out there. What would make more sense? How much time can you get by running at 33 and how much at 45?
Sure. Yeah. So, we suggest, somewhere around 4 to 4.5 minutes at 45 RPM per side. And then at 33, we're going to recommend somewhere around 6 minutes, but you can go much higher. But most cutting engineers are going to, be sweating when they're cutting it or not want to take the project on if you're sitting in that 7-minute, 8-minute side.
That's a lot of information in little tiny grooves.
We've done it. It is. It's a tough one to cut. And, there's obviously distortion, in-ring distortion plays a big role in that. The overall level that you're cutting at is far lower. So people are going to have to turn up their stereos compared to other records. So there's some drawbacks, but we think that the recommended playing times are pretty good. 33, 6 minutes, 45, about 4.5 minutes. You're going to get a good sounding product.
Nice,
man. For the most part. Everything's different.
Right.
Records are always unique. But
that is very
good
true.
Starting point.
That is very true. Each job is different, and it's always interesting to see the way that the materials that you're working with interact, and you guys are using the same type of stampers though, right? Just smaller.
Yeah. No, it's just 7-inch stamper. Yeah.
So
very similar.
What do you think of the 3-inch market? Like I know for Record Store Day they had a bunch of 3-inch stuff coming out. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and we actually thought about offering 3-inch records. I mean, I'm curious to see where that goes. I mean, you obviously have a very limited programming.
Yeah.
The other part of that is that you're cutting into the record where the center label would normally be.
Yeah.
And so that has its own technical complications on the cutting side of things, and potentially maybe even on the plating side.
And pressing side, you would think as well too, because I mean, that's
the pressing side actually you could probably make like 4 of them at a time.
Really?
Or more.
Wow.
Yeah, because you could just double up on them. Like a dual cavity 7-inch record press.
Yeah.
SMT made a dual cavity 7-inch press. I think Cascade actually might have one, or United, can't remember who. So maybe you could make 4 at a time or something like that. But I think it's really interesting. It's definitely a collector's product, and I think that's kind of where a lot of things are headed anyways with vinyl. I think the audiophile market is obviously very strong, and that's what's kept the lights on with a lot of these plants, even through the years where vinyl hasn't been as popular. But the collector market really is where we see the most growth, I think. When you're making multiple colors, people want to buy them all, or they just want to own something that's special, that the band, that a product that reflects the band, and that they want their collectors to own.
Yeah.
So it's not always about sound quality. Sometimes it's just about being one of 500 people that get to own that.
Cool factor.
Yeah. Cool factor. Your collection, if it was just nothing but black records, man. Even my old man, like when you asked him to show off his record collection, because he's still got a bunch of old records from when he was in high school and stuff. He always goes to the same ones every time I bring friends over. It's always these crazy marbles that they made back in the 60s that like were just super rare. Like most of the records are black.
Right.
And so to have this like my dad calls it psychedelic.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's just a marble to us. We make a lot of those now. But it didn't used to be so commonplace. And now, it's almost like every order that we do has at least a variant,
right, yeah,
of color.
And that variant is those seem to be the ones that go the fastest. I mean, we have from our side of it, we press a lot of records, and there'll be the standard variant, which is your black, but some of the most recent jobs that I've done, we've had 4, 5, 6 variants of the same project, all roll off in different stages. I mean, it's amazing what people want from colors and from that uniqueness side of it, and you guys are providing that. I mean, and then some. I mean, I was checking out your website. What's the web address?
www.16 kilohertz, and kilohertz is spelled out, so KILOHERTZ.com.
Yeah.
And to what you were saying there too, you know, we're doing, we do that with our picture disc, the multiple variants.
Yeah.
So we have a local printer here in Oakland that has a digital printer. And so we can make, you know, as many as one copy of a particular variant. Now, obviously you need different artwork for each record. But a lot of customers have been really interested in that. So we've had some guys that'll do like 5 copies of a single artwork variation, or even one band, they had a music video and they just took frames out of the music video. So every single record was a frame from the video.
That's
so
pretty rad.
Every single record was unique. And then we do variable data printing on it, which is the same thing as doing the multiple variants. But what we'll do is we'll incorporate a 1 out of 200 or 2 out of 200, so that the collector actually sees like what number record off the press they got.
Wow,
so it could
that's cool.
You got 56 out of 500.
That's pretty cool.
So that's pretty unique stuff that just kind of goes along with digital printing these days.
You're actually,
so we're able to incorporate into the vinyl.
So you're rather than hand numbering the jacket, you're actually hand numbering the record, kind of. So to
the
speak.
record.
Yeah, that's really cool, dude. I had to hand number 420 records yesterday. If I had a machine that did it right along the way, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Digital printing, man, it's amazing.
That's pretty rad.
You can get away with it.
So what's the limitations, really?
Limitations of the
what you decide you want to put up. Can anything you can print out could go on that record, or I mean, is there? Yeah,
for the most part. I mean, we've played around with metallic stuff that doesn't seem to work very well. We're still kind of scratching our heads at that. You know, people that might want like a shiny silver gold, or like a foil, basically. Right. We've played around with that stuff, and we've had it's hard to get everything to kind of bond together and have a product that is going to last 100 years. Right. And the appearance can be a little off too, which is something that we're always a little, iffy about. So that's kind of the one thing, but we've played around, to that side of it. We've said, okay, well, if you want a gold record, you could also pick a good Pantone ink and go to your local screen printer. Yeah. And print that stuff and then send it to us, and we'll make records out of it. So it's been pretty fun, and people come up with all kinds of crazy ideas. I saw your gallery, and there's just some really, there's wood grain records on there, stuff that looks like that's real wood. It's real wood.
There's stuff that looks like
fabric,
granite on there. You guys, and then of course just the crazy vibrant color stuff, But wood grain record, when I saw it, I'm like, holy crap, look at that. That's
it's
awesome.
Real wood.
Really?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it took us a while to get it right, but. It was a wood, bamboo, and a fabric. And what was funny was the wood, the bamboo, and the fabric all had a different noise floor. Really? So the fabric kind of sounded like there's like a zipper zipping up in the background. It was like totally weird. You're like, how is this even happening? But it did. And then the wood and the bamboo just kind of had like a cyclical kind of rumble to it, which was unique. But yeah, it was like the needle is picking up the surface underneath the plastic, or the plastic is picking up a little bit of the surface underneath it under pressure. Wow. And it's just translating, it's coming up, and yeah, it's super weird.
Dude,
but it was
really
a lot of fun to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So with you guys, it's kind of a different process every time, depending upon the material and the type of product that you're working with, so to speak.
Yeah. 99 out of 100, we're doing, printed paper, and that's all pretty much the same. But then when you get these unique requests and you try to chase them down,
that's where it gets exciting.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
To where you can challenge me. Let's see if I can do this, and we've been the same way. We're like, I don't know if we can create that color combination, or come up with that, and that's when your creative mind goes to work and everything. And I think that's what fuels us to keep making more records and making more interesting products, is that challenge of can we do it?
And I think that translates all the way to the consumer part of all this is, having these unique products out there does a lot for vinyl, and it's such a digital age where people want to so many people want to take just pictures of their records. I mean, to the point that you have record players that actually operate vertically.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Because they want to display the vinyl.
Yeah,
in
it's
a
part of the art.
Way.
Yeah,
it's part of the experience, and so that I think a lot of that is really important to the consumers, which makes it also important for the artists to kind of get creative and be able to create products that are an extension of their brand.
Yeah, that's really cool stuff, man. Hey, tell us a little bit about your involvement with the VRMA, which is the Vinyl Record Manufacturing Association. I know it's a group of like-minded individuals all revolving around the vinyl industry. Tell us what you're doing with there, Mark.
Yeah, I've kind of been on the sidelines, and I've been taking part in some of the discussions that we have on the Slack channel. And, obviously it's in its infancy is in terms of organization coming together. And my business partner, Michael, actually, he plays much more of an active role because he has a little bit extra time to spare. I get pretty bogged down with production related things over here, and it's hard to break away too frequently. But, I've been in the industry for 15 years now, since 2005. And to see something like this come up, especially with smaller manufacturers, is just it's so important to have all of that. When I look back at the early days when I got into vinyl, we were limited in terms of how many manufacturers were there, and most of the ones that were operating back then were larger and already kind of collaboratively working when it came to, say buying boxes together or, a lot of them kind of grew up together, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But now we have a lot of new shops, and because vinyl is important, and it's great. There's a lot of small manufacturers, and it gives us to band with not only small guys, but larger people to all work together to, ensure that manufacturing in North America is a thing today and 20, 30 years from now, So I think it's really exciting, and I'm so happy that, that people have found the time and the energy to put that together. Because it's just really important to our industry, especially with, larger manufacturing in Europe, which poses a pretty big threat on American manufacturing. I think for us to compete with those much larger operations, we need to be together, and, we need to work together to make sure that there are things that we're doing that are innovative, and things that obviously this is a huge point, is in vinyl, there's always this kind of black magic effect is what I call it. And what that means is that there are issues that come up in manufacturing that are somewhat unexplainable.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to articulate that to somebody else that's outside of your room. Because when the problem comes up, you could waste 2 days trying to figure out how to solve it. But you could ask the guy who's maybe been through something like that before to tell you what to do to resolve it. And like we said, every single record's different. You never know when some frequency is going to come out in some weird way at either the cutting phase, at either the pressing phase, or at the plating phase, that everyone's scratching their heads.
Right.
Who knows how to solve this? And just redoing it all from scratch isn't necessarily the answer.
No.
So you have to have that knowledge base, that collective knowledge, to overcome those types of scenarios, because we want our products to be as good as they can be, and the consumers definitely expect that from us.
For sure. We do a very stringent in-house QC project here, each one of our records. I'm sure you guys are doing the same thing. It's got to be kind of a different level of QC that you guys do there. I mean, we're looking visually and making sure all audio artifacts are just represented in their best possible light. But you guys are really going towards that visual medium, but you have to make sure that the sound is there as well.
Yeah, it's a big hurdle for us. It's a big hurdle. The product, the manufacturing method, a lot of the things that we're doing are unique and not traditional. And so we've run into a few things on our side where we're like, even when you ask the guys that have been doing this for 40 years, they're like, I don't know. And so we've learned a lot over the 3 years that we've been making this product. We we still learn stuff. You know, it's a 99 out of 100, man. I say it all the time. It's like 99 orders, just they come and they go, and everything's great, and and then that 1 out of 100, you're like, holy shit! Like,
yeah, you get that nightmare job on you.
Go right, and there's just some weird thing, and you know, and it's hard to even articulate that to customers these days. Hey, I got this problem. I'm going to try this. It's going to take another 2 weeks till I get a new set of stampers in here,
right,
to see if that's the problem. You know, you get this weird. You know, it's manufacturing, but it's pretty slow.
Yeah, it is. It takes some time.
Considering
there's a lot to the process, and people have gotten really kind of spoiled and used to getting things really fast, you know.
Yeah,
and this takes time to make this thing work out. There's a lot of ins and outs, man, that you got to get together, you know, in order to put this thing across the line. And so a lot of people don't really realize that sometimes, man. So hey, let's get to let's get. Great. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm not meaning to cut you off. But we're going to try to get to the first question of our 5-question thing that we do for everybody, man. I know you got to watch another one of these that we did, so you may have a little heads up as far as the questions go. But let's jump into it right away. This is coming from our tech crew, man. Mark, what do you pick? Pick a side: NSYNC or Backstreet?
Oh, geez. You know, back when everyone was listening to pop music, I think I was listening to a lot of punk, but I'd have to say, NSYNC? That's Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, man.
Maybe I'll pick his side.
Yep.
Because, you know, every once in a while, that's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah, man.
So so I'll go with that.
Yeah, that's good, man. Bringing sexy back. Why not? There you go, JT.
That's right.
All right, man. What was your first record, Mark? You remember that?
I think it was Offspring Smash.
Yeah.
Was my first record, followed up shortly by probably Dookie, Green Day.
Awesome, man.
But then, you know, when I was before I got records, I was, you know, maybe like a Michael Jackson tape or something like that. Definitely Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder was like my idol as a child. I don't think I ever owned any of his records, but that was it.
You know, there's
so definitely maybe Michael Jackson. I don't know. There's
a conspiracy theory supposedly going around that Stevie can see. I don't see it, but
all right. Well, he fooled me.
Hey, so let's go with this one, man. Dogs or cats, Mark? Which one?
Dogs.
Yeah,
all the way.
Yeah, you know, man. Yeah, it's dogs. That's all the way. Dogs. We're gonna leave it at that. Hey, where did you grow up, man? Out on the West Coast?
So around the Bay Area. I mean, my formative years were in Santa Cruz, California.
Yeah.
But I was, you know, lived in San Jose for a while, lived in San Francisco for a long time, and then now we're in Oakland. But yeah, you know, middle school, high school was all Santa Cruz. So that's kind of like what I claim.
Yeah, it's a lot of the sands areas you got to live in, man. No San Diego?
Yeah.
You didn't get down to that sand part?
No, San Diego. No, it's just around the Bay Area.
Gotcha, man. When did you finally decide that this is who I'm going to be? This is what I'm going to do. When did you figure it all out, so to speak?
Yeah. So, you know, I got into vinyl. A good friend of mine that I grew up with, got a job working for a company called recordpressing.com, in the Lower Haight, San Francisco. And he was doing artwork pre-flight. And at the time I was, had, you know, some experience selling. I was running a tire shop and doing a lot of sales there, and doing some mechanic work too. And I applied for the sales job that they had, and I always wanted to work in music, but you know, even in high school, it was like, oh, I want to work in music, but it's so daunting to figure out your way in. Back then too, you know, you didn't have social media. You couldn't just like blow someone up and get a chance,
right?
You know, and unless you had a record label down the street from you or in your neighborhood, or you were a musician, and you know, I was never a good musician. So I took it as the opportunity to be a part of vinyl and be a part of the music industry. I think my destiny was kind of set there, because when, you know, record pressing closed its doors in 2011 or 12, and you know, when I tried to get out of it, I thought I was just going to get a tech job. And all my customers were like, well, you're our vinyl guy. You gotta keep working for us. So I rolled the dice again, started 16 kilohertz. And yeah, and now I'm just stuck.
Oh,
I love it.
That's cool,
but
dude.
it's a unique job, you know, and you know, there's not very many of us that can kind of keep the wheels on. And, you know, it's one of those art forms that, you know, if fewer and fewer people do it, then it will become forgotten. It's not something that, you know, there's just too many moving parts and all of it has to come together. And there's a lot of knowledge that needs to carry the torch.
Yeah. It's not going to make itself. You know what I mean?
No,
there's so much going on, and it's going to take makers like you and I to get out there, and everyone else that we deal with in this industry. We are a collective group of creators, and it's going to take us to keep on doing that, man. Hey, dude, I really appreciate you calling in today and doing this stuff. We always finish up the show. This is what everybody waits for. It's probably your favorite part from the one you got to watch with Yoli, but it's all about the puck of the week. Right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one, right? So this one,
that's like
it's got like a tangerine orange in it, and it's got like a little bit of white and maybe some yellow going through there, right?
Yeah, it's got some sheen to it. It's a nice looking pot.
Check that out. They'll get a close up of this one. And anyway, when you put that under the heat and under the pressure, it comes out and ends up looking like this, kind of like a orange sickle kind of thing, man, is what I want to go for. It's really cool. It's kind of hard to see if you hold up the light.
Great, man.
Dude,
wonderful.
Puck of the week right there, man.
Love it.
What do your pucks look like, man? Do you got one?
We don't have pucks. So
no?
we just use a preformed flat PVC sheet.
Yeah.
So we don't have to deal with pucks or extruders here, but yeah, that's a really cool looking orange creamsicle record, man. It's beautiful.
Puck of the week. That's the one right there, man.
That's great.
Hey, Mark, thanks again for calling in and talking to us. Give me your website one more time so I can send everybody that way. We'll get the guys to put a link up there.
Yeah, it's 16 kilohertz. So www.16, the numbers 16, and then kilohertz is spelled out. So KILOHERTZ.com.
Dude, such a lot of cool stuff there, man. You guys go and check it out. And Mark, once again, be safe, and we'll see you on the other side of this thing, man.
Same to you. Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and this is great. And good luck with everything else, man. I'll be watching more of them. This is really great.
Thanks, boss. We'll see you.
Cool. Thanks.